The Skagit Valley. This is one of Washington State's agricultural hubs. It is not, however, traditionally known for growing wheat.
Here in this valley, we grow 80 crops. Wheat is number 80. So the Breadlab resides at Skagit Valley because this is basically where one wouldn't grow wheat conventionally.
This is the home of the Washington State University Breadlab. To be clear, the Breadlab is not a bakery. It's a plant breeding program.
We're plant breeders that bake. So we breed grains for a climate in crisis, and we breed grains for better food and farming systems.
We breed wheat, rye, barley, buckwheat, dry beans, and we work here at the Breadlab with only the whole grain.
Founded by Dr. Stephen Jones, the goal of the Breadlab is to make whole grains affordable and accessible to as many people as possible.
It's best for flavor, it's best for nutrition. It's also, we believe, better for the earth.
Yeah, I'm originally from Italy and I moved here specifically for the Breadlab in particular because the breadth of our focus includes anything from the field to the loaves.
The Breadlab brings together scientists, farmers, millers, and bakers. Anyone who's connected with wheat or grains at some point in the food chain. 4 PhD students are conducting research here, including Robin Morgan.
So my focus here at the Breadlab is developing a perennial grain crop that doesn't die when it's harvest time. So it's able to regrow and give it eventually another crop the following year. So in this way we can reduce our farming impact on soil to begin with.
That these fields don't look uniform is by design. Unlike what one might consider to be a typical wheat field, where 1 or 2 types of wheat are grown at scale, these are home to a variety of diverse grains.
Commodity wheat is what the general person probably thinks of when you think of a wheat field in Kansas or North Dakota or even in eastern Washington. It's a much more restrictive system, I would say. We grow wheats that are blue and purple and brown and kind of every shade in between. And that you would never find in a commodity system because it would just simply get rejected.
Breadlab Managing Director Kim Binczewski says by increasing the genetic variation of the fields, crops can more easily adapt to the environment they're planted in. And breeding wheat to use the whole grain increases yield because it utilizes 100% of the wheat kernel, while white flour uses just 70%. But there are other, more tangible benefits as well.
It starts with the farmer. So for the farmer, if they're growing a unique variety of grain, then that takes them outside of the commodity system. So it gives the farmer more control over where they're selling it and the price that they can get for it. For consumers, they have a lot more choice.
One of the reasons I work here at the Breadlab is because of something we call the approachable loaf. It's simply a sandwich-style bread, but it's 100% whole wheat. And the most important facet of it, and where I think the future lies with regional grains, is affordability.
The approachable loaf is perhaps the most tangible example of the Breadlab's mission in practice. The Breadlab Collective is a group of bakers, millers, teachers, and college programs across 4 different countries who teach, bake, and sell the loaf. It contains no more than 7 ingredients and must be priced under $6.
I think what's most important for me personally, and I think I could speak for the whole lab, is just that people realize, 1, you can bake with 100% whole wheat, and 2, it tastes really good, and 3, it's accessible to everyone.
One of the ways the Breadlab does that is by inviting the public in through the King Arthur Baking School.
They have people locally that are coming in, and honestly, really nationally, people come here to bake in the baking school. I think it gets people thinking more about where their food comes from. It certainly gets people thinking more about their flour.
That thinking has and continues to happen at the highest levels of the culinary world.
There are so many things that can be made out of grains that people don't recognize that we use in cooking every day.
At the Canlis Research Kitchen, the chefs from the Seattle Fine Dining Institution have direct access to the Breadlab's research team. It's an exchange of information rarely found in the industry.
You know,
We play a big role in how trends happen, especially in fine dining. Having just the connection that we'll have to a team who can inform us in ways that we can't inform ourselves, because this is what their life's work is about, allows us to use our life work to connect, the guests to product and the source of that product in a really kind of incredible way.
Here at the Breadlab, the scope of the work may be broad, but the team believes its impact could be immense. How will they know if they've been successful? Well, when it all comes down to it, the answer is deliciously simple.
Getting more households to eat bread made with whole grain flour, getting more households to make cookies and pizza and scones with whole grain flour.
For Seattle Refined, I'm Brandon Bernstead.